Hello everyone and welcome to another Top 5 Records video. Looking back at 2024, there are also very beautiful personal moments in which I really found a record that I cherished and that I've been listening over and over again during this album. So in this video I'm going to be talking about the 5 albums that for me were most personally valuable. And I'm going to kick it off with at number 5. Ozzy Osbourne and Randy Rhoads tribute. This was a 1987 pressing. It's the first pressing of this album, in which Ozzy Osbourne released an old Randy Rhoads show just a couple of years after the accident or incident in which this young, brilliant, upcoming guitar player died. It's a very sad story because Randy Rhoads showed on these first two Ozzy Osbourne albums and during these live shows that he was capable of steering heavy metal music into a new direction, a direction with some very heavy classical influences. And it was thought to be that he might become one of the main influences in metal. Now, looking back, some people still give him the credit, and I think I would even give him credit for changing the sound of metal music in the 80s. He just did stuff with Osbourne that are mesmerizing, that make you not long back for Black Sabbath, which with an artist like Ozzy Osbourne would be the most obvious choice. Now they released this album so we could hear what he does live, and I think, I found this in a record store here in Amsterdam for about $50. It's very tough to find this, and this is in near mint condition. And this live recording just shows you that he understands the music of Ozzy Osbourne like no one else did. Side one, opening with I Don't Know. Then we go to Crazy Train, which is, he gives so much more dimension to that song, but he never goes over the top. On later live shows, I hear the guitar player go over the top with Ozzy Osbourne, like it's just one big spielerij, and I understand that, and I'm open to that, and I sometimes really do enjoy that. But Randy Rhoads was so much more to the point, so much more understanding what the song really needed. He would go out there, edge towards going over the top, take his position as a guitar player, but precisely timed in a manner that it would not. He would not go full Van Halen. And I love Van Halen there, but he would not go full Van Halen. Ending off side one with Mr. Crowley, gorgeous song, brilliant song. Side two is really good. Then side three, opening with Suicide Solution, great song. Iron Man, Children of the Grave, Paranoid. Try to put on side three and put it off. I mean, it's impossible. I tried with friends. Friends come over. Oh, you're happy with your new vinyl? I say, yeah, very much. Well, let me put side three. One song from side three there, and I'll let you hear Suicide Solution. I'm like, yeah, it's good, it's good, it's great, it's great. What comes next? Iron Man. Iron Man comes next. No, keep it on. Iron Man, smoking. What after Iron Man? Children of the Grave? No way. And it's good. And after Children of the Grave, Paranoid. Damn, this one rocks. One of the albums that painted 2024 for me. At number 5, Ozzy Osbourne and Randy Rhoads tribute. At number 4, I actually found this a week ago, but I'm just so happy I want to share this with you, and I found this completely unique because it's South of Heaven by Slayer. And I've been looking for this record almost the entirety of this year. I'm getting into Slayer. I don't want to do a top 5 records video of Slayer. They are very edgy. They're very awesome. And I'm so happy that I found this. I found this last week at the record fair in the Brabant Halle. I found some pressings of this album, but they were beat up. It's a 1988 record, so there are not a lot of vinyl out there. It's in the genre of metal music, and they are pretty often badly beaten or scratched. And my preferred listen is actually to listen to the American mastering, and I never found an American mastered one. This is the first Canadian pressing that I found, and it has the American master. And how do I say this? 1 second, sorry. at the end of the year. Um, First of all, it's near mint. The condition is like you would never find um, a Slayer album. It's so good, and also it is the American mastering in Canada pressed. And I'm of the conviction that a lot of these Canadian pressings, especially if they have the American masterings, they are comparable or just as good as an American pressing, and in this shape and quality. I was just so curious. I went home, I put this on, and the moment South of Heaven starts, the sound of that, the sound of this Rick Rubin produced gorgeous, full, warm sound. I mean, it is just heaven, which is a very, very strange word to describe Slayer. Nevertheless, I'm sticking to that word. At number 4, my first Canadian near mint pressing of Slayer South of Heaven. At number 3, another purchase on the record fair, but earlier this year, because the Brabant Halle Record Fair, the largest one in the world, has 2 editions every year. And I never thought I would find this in the wild. It is Lou Reed's Berlin Live at St. Anne's Warehouse. Now, I knew about the show because I listened to it digitally a lot. I have the DVD of the show, I have the Blu-ray, directed by Julian Schnabel. And this is Lou Reed, I believe in 2008. Does it say it? Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't say it. But I believe it's 2008. He performed my favorite Lou Reed album, Berlin Live. And that was the way I got introduced to Lou Reed. And the sound of this record, produced by Bob Ezrin, the original producer of also the studio album Berlin, is just mesmerizing. If you take a look at the video footage, you see that there are how do I call this? Around the microphones, and I believe they're U87s. I mean, they're using studio microphones for a live show. And around the drums, there are like these see-through booths, so the sound does not bleed onto the other microphones. So they could also use different kinds of microphones, and that just makes for the most intimate, most beautiful audiophile sounding live album ever. And as if that isn't just enough reason to buy it, that approach for the intimate voice, the aging voice of Lou Reed, you hear it in his voice, but you hear even more skill in his fingers and in his guitar than before. It's just astonishing. Playing Berlin Live, the choir, Anthony Haggerty or Anhoney doing backing vocals and singing the song Kenny Says Together, which is one of the most gorgeous ever recorded live duets, I mean, ever. Ending with Rock Minuet and Sweet Jane. And also this rendition of Rock Minuet is one of the best live recordings ever. This record has become this year one of these albums in which I end of an evening. And when friends are over, we're drinking beers, listening to records. When a Rock Minuet comes, we slowly empty our glass, take a look at the skyline of Amsterdam, and people will go home. And I'll take a walk with my dog. We'll go together. But it's personal. I love this. This means the world to me, and it sounds spectacular. At number 3, Lou Reed Berlin Live. At number 2, another album I never thought I would find in the wild. Again, because I found this in Rotterdam years and years ago, and I didn't buy it because I already bought too much records, and I thought, I'll find it again. But years and years, I kept searching all the soundtrack departments for this album. Why did I keep searching for this album? Because this is John Carpenter's soundtrack for the film The Fog, also made by John Carpenter. I think this is the best horror soundtrack ever. When you put this on, you get into the atmosphere of the movie The Fog. And The Fog is not the most horrifying film you've ever seen. He made it after Halloween, and after Halloween is a scary film. It's a really scary film. The Fog is more like a gruesome tale. And there are scary moments there. And it's a thrill. And I think it's one of John Carpenter's best films. But I think it's mostly that because of the scenery. It's the story of an old harbor or harbor, sea town, and there is something in the mist. There's something in the fog, and it's dangerous, and it keeps coming towards the land. And there is this radio station in a lighthouse, and everybody in the town is listening to that. So they are connected to the lighthouse. Auditively, they are connected to the lighthouse. And that makes for such a bizarre atmosphere, such an intimate horror experience. And one of the key elements to make that, of course, it's the scenery. Of course, it's the actors. Of course, it's the way that the lighthouse and the radio station are connected. But so essential is this spooky, minimal soundtrack by John Carpenter himself. I mean, he could just press some buttons and you could listen to that for seconds and then ding 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 ba-da-dum, like sea horns in instruments. Oh, I never expected to find, and this is the first German pressing. It's near mint, and when you put that on, I listened to this a lot during October because Halloween, but I listened to it a lot earlier this year because I was just thrilled to find it. One of my favorite soundtracks. It just sets the mood. At number 2, John Carpenter's The Fog. At number 1, this is stunning. It's a 1978 pressing on Tomato, US pressing of Townes van Zandt's self-titled album. Now, I never found any old analog pressing of this album, especially in Europe. It's so hard to find. When I was in San Francisco in the Bay Area in June, I searched, well, let's say 80% of the record stores, and I could not find Townes van Zandt albums. Sometimes one of the cheap reissues, but I was looking for Townes van Zandt. And at the same time, a friend of mine found somebody in Amsterdam who was selling some Townes van Zandt albums. Some still with the seal around it, and even this one, fully sealed, unopened. A 1978 repress. And the moment he bought it from me, well, I paid him, of course, but he bought it from me because I wasn't there. I was in San Francisco. I got back home from the States. And we poured in a great glass of good Belgian beer. And I got a plectrum because I want to damage it as little as possible. I got a plectrum to open the side. And I was just so scared to open a 1978 sealed record because I thought, yeah, well, nobody's ever going to be able to open this again. I'm not sure how many of these are still sealed. But I was also thrilled to listen to an untouched record, and some people say it's the best Townes van Zandt album. So we listened to it, and we listened to it back to back. We listened to it again, and then later that week, another friend of mine came over, and we listened to it again 2 times. And the entirety of this record is just so astonishingly that even if you have friends over and you'd like to listen and talk a bit, the moment the needle just goes into grooves of this album, this particular album, in this quality, in this early pressing. Well, it's the second pressing, I believe. It's on a Tomato label, but it's an analog pressing. So untouched. It's just completely thrilling. I just looking at the track list and having Waiting Around to Die there, opening with For the Sake of the Song. It is, it just deeply affects me personally. And I'm so happy I found this in 2024. This is my personal favorite purchase from 2024. And I'm curious, what was 2024 in vinyl for you? Let me know. Leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.